Hi guys, welcome to Mario Master 101, and today I'm going to be reacting to Agent S's top 20 least favorite movies of all time. I'm turning a transcript on. So yeah. Without further ado, here we go. Top 20 least favorite movies of all time! This is probably way too loud, so also subtitles.
Greetings, gamers. Agent.
Okay, there we go.
Greetings, gamers. Agent.
Here we go. Top 20 least favorite movies of all time.
So about 2 weeks ago, as
Despicable Me 3 better be on here. It's gonna be so bad.
My top 20
Despicable Me 3 is so bad. I hate Despicable Me 3 so much.
It's time for the opposite.
Despicable
my top
Me 3
least favorite.
I really
movies of all
hope is
time.
at least.
So yeah,
I feel like
here we
it's gonna
go.
be in the top 3.
I praised the movies for like 40 or
I'm so excited.
Almost 40 or so minutes 2 weeks ago. Now it's time to rip these movies to shreds. We're going to rip these 20 movies to shreds in 3, 2, 1. On to the video.
Okay, 20 Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I have no clue what that is.
Starting off this list with Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Holy crap, this movie. It is so boring, and I'm also even remembering what happened. But if I remember, the plot was pretty convoluted. And everything, and the plot just never made sense. The whole time I was watching it about 4 years ago, I was so confused that my brain could not process the plot very well, and this movie is super boring too, and I wanted to fall asleep. This whole trilogy is already very uneven. The first was decent, and this one was pretty garbage. Secrets of Dumbledore was also pretty bad, but it's better than this at least. This movie is super confusing. It never makes sense. It's also kind of forgettable. I mean, I've already forgotten most of what happened. Most of the trilogy is pretty forgettable, and the characters weren't really fleshed out. The characters weren't really fleshed out too well.
I literally never saw this movie
and they weren't really developed too well. From the first,
so.
I mean, they weren't like character assassinations because they already weren't. Well, they were somewhat interesting, but their interesting traits didn't really carry over. But I wouldn't call it a character assassination for them. But the plot here was just pretty messed up and super confusing. And the movie's super forgettable too, and super boring. Like, yeah, this trilogy is just a disgrace to the Harry Potter franchise and the whole and the Wizarding World name. But this is easily the worst of all of them.
Oh, this is a Harry Potter movie? Jurassic Park 3. I haven't saw it.
So next up on the list is Jurassic Park 3, and my first gripe is, why does this movie exist? Like, here's the thing. The original Jurassic Park was actually based on a book written by Michael Crichton, and which later got a sequel called The Lost World, which is also a book adaptation, and both were directed by Steven Spielberg. But Spielberg dropped out this time around, and handed it off to Joe Johnston, and this time it was not based on a book, so it had to base on its own source material from the first two movies, and it was a complete and utter abomination. The plot was just pretty lame, and it was also super generic too. Like, we know the dinosaurs are attacking humans in Isla Nublar and stuff. But, like, there was no point in continuing the trilogy. There's no point in continuing after The Lost World. The Lost World is where the book ends. With movie adaptations of books, it's best to leave. It's best to end it where the books end. If the books end at Lost World, why do you have to continue it? And even then, this movie is just pain for an hour and a half. A lot of this movie is just people screaming for 90 minutes, and it gets super repetitive. Like, holy crap. It almost gave me a headache when I was watching this movie. Now, I've heard some people call Jurassic World Dominion first, but I have not seen that one, nor do I care to. I saw
Jurassic World. I thought
I've
it was
seen
good.
the first Jurassic World. I've heard a lot of people say Fallen Kingdom and Dominion are really bad, so I don't think I'm ever going to watch those two. I'll also do a review. I'll also make a video reviewing every Jurassic movie. I don't think I'm ever going to watch Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. screw those two. But yeah, Jurassic Park 3, horrible. The plot is pretty lame and also generic. And most of the movie is just people screaming for 90 minutes. Like, who's gonna watch it? That.
Mulan 2020. Okay, I've heard quite a bit of hate for this. I've heard this is like by far
almost
the
all
worst
except
live
for
action Disney.
two.
I've heard it's so bad. I've heard it's so
Disney's
bad.
live action remakes are either pretty bad or very mediocre, if I'm being honest. I haven't seen all of them, but most of the ones I have seen are that way. The only two that I liked are the live action Cinderella and the live action Jungle Book, especially that second one. The live action Jungle Book I actually thought was on par with the original. But the worst of Disney's live action remakes is easily live action Mulan.
I heard it's so bad.
Holy crap! Now, I will give some of the other live action remakes this. They were at least faithful to the original, even if all the charm that made them amazing were gone in the process. But this is where it especially went rock bottom. This movie is nothing like the original from 1998. It is just it's mostly just well, first of all, it removes the music. It's not a musical, and all that, and so left with a Chinese themed action movie that my mom it looks like an Asian drama that my mom would watch all the time. But all of that aside, this movie also fails as both a movie and adaptation. They replaced Mushu as the best character in the original with a stupid lame phoenix. Holy crap, why would they do that? That is so stupid. Apparently it's because, China is strict and everything. China is stupid. Yeah. You know how China is, right? Yeah. And not just that, the plot was pretty lame too, and the action was pretty subpar for a Chinese action film. If you're gonna watch an Asian-themed action film, just watch RRR, and you will not regret it.
RRR? Rocky V, haven't seen. RRR kind of sounds like a seal, like the noise a seal makes when it's hungry or something.
No, I'm not a big fan of boxing myself, but I really like the Rocky movies a lot, even though I just watched all of them, as well as the Creed trilogy for the first time about 6 months ago. And I liked all of them for the most part. Except for this one. Holy crap, Rocky 5. This movie
do good at Roman
is an
numerals.
utter abomination.
I know what
Rocky's
7
character
is.
back to how he was.
But I don't know what any of those are right now.
In the first movie, and
well,
not
obviously
just
I know
that, but
V is fine
it also
after
assassinated his character in the process. And it also has many continuity errors with the first 4 movies, and which leads to some plot holes as well. And there's also some medical inaccuracies here as well. And while the boxing parts weren't too bad, it still couldn't carry the movie enough because Rocky Balboa's character was completely butchered in this movie, and he acted pretty stupid in this movie. Thankfully, he was redeemed in the next movie,
Rocky 6.
Rocky Balboa. So hopefully the long wait on that helps. There is a Rocky 7 in development, and knowing Stallone, it'll likely be the last one because he's old and everything. Hopefully, it'll be way better than this abomination and live up to its sequel, Rocky Balboa, and also the Creed trilogy.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales. Haven't seen that one either.
Next up is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales. And just like I said with Jurassic Park 3, why did this movie exist? There was no reason to continue Pirates of the Caribbean after the original story arc ended with At World's End. After that, Disney decided to be, we're like, yay, money! They decided to milk it and make 2 more, Entre the Tides and At World's End, and both were pretty bad, but this, especially this one, was the worst in the franchise. The franchise already got worse with each installment. The first one was really good, the second one was decent, the third one was pretty mid, the fourth one was really bad. This one is especially worse. This one is complete rock bottom. the plot here was pretty lame. You could tell that this was Disney trying to go back to the style and tone and charm of the first movie, Curse Black Pearl, and they ultimately failed. The action here is pretty lame, and Jack Sparrow acts pretty stupid in this movie, and the plot is very convoluted as well, especially in the second act. And now the big of room that Johnny Depp will not return in the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie that Disney has planned, but why continue them after, especially after this abomination happened? This movie is a train wreck in every way, with a stupid plot and very convoluted a messed up characterization and everything. I mean, and he loses the ship, and he tries to get it back and everything.
He loses the ship. Dang,
very stupid,
bro, that's
lame.
crazy.
You can really tell here that this series was overdone now, and it needed to end 10 years beforehand.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I've heard some pretty bad stuff about this movie.
Where do I even begin with this abomination? Next up we have the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2, more like
But
the
terrible.
absolute trash Spider-Man 2. Like, holy crap, this movie is not only absolute trash, but it's also one of the ugliest and cringiest movies of all time. Without a doubt. The plot was super convoluted, makes no sense. It's also super boring as well. I remember seeing this movie in theaters back in 2014, and I remember I didn't like it very much. And about a month ago, I went back and rewatched it on Disney Plus, and I totally understood it all now. After rewatching, after it being 9 years since I had originally seen this, I totally remember why I didn't like it. I still to this day absolutely despise this movie.
It kind of happened with me with like Ralph Breaks
Andrew
the
Garfield's
Internet.
Spider-Man was still
I saw Ralph Breaks the Internet.
still feeling weak in this movie.
In
Both his
theaters. I thought it
Parker
was
character and his
fine,
Spider-Man character
but then
were both
afterwards,
pretty weak in this
I
movie. The
realized
plot
it
was
pretty
super
bad. It's
convoluted
pretty
and
bad.
everything, and the Jimmy
Ralph
Fox
Breaks the Internet is
Electro
pretty bad.
was so cringy and ugly looking. It wasn't even a
Especially
good
compared to
villain.
Superhero.
Like look at that face! Like, holy crap! Electro was super ugly in this movie. And even the action was super subpar, especially during the climax with Gwen Stacy's death, and even that part I feel wasn't fleshed out enough. This movie is one of the biggest utter abominations of all time, and it's not only one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but also one of the most cringiest and ugliest movies I've ever seen. Well, though you ain't seen nothing yet, because you will see something pretty soon that's even more
Turning
cringier
red,
and uglier.
because I remember.
And a movie that I would rather go here with than pull than this abomination. This movie, it fails in every way, both as a Spider-Man both as a movie as a whole, a Spider-Man movie, and a superhero movie.
Bad.
Plot does not make sense.
I know it has
Electro is
some
super
fans,
ugly
and
and everything.
they could be wrong, I
And
don't
Peter
care.
and Peter's character
think wrong
wasn't.
if they like,
And Andrew
their
Garfield's
opinion.
Peter Parker and Spider-Man wasn't fleshed out enough, and the only character here who was really the only character here who was that likable was Gwen Stacy.
Morbius? What? It should be number best movie ever made.
Hey, it's Morbius! Yo, Morbius! Yeah! It's Morbin time! Morbius out of 10! The cinematic experience of all time! It is the movie of all time, and it made a more $1 billion at the box office. And first movie to sell 1 more billion tickets. It's Morbin time! The movie of all time. Oh yeah, the greatest movie of all time. Yeah, it's definitely better than Back to the Future, aha.
Not gonna lie, this editing's pretty base. Pretty skippity phantom-tastic.
Reacts? What are you doing here? And how dare you for saying it's better than Back to the Future? There's no way possible that Morbius, the movie of all time, as you say, could be better than that masterpiece. That is that is a classic almost that's already a classic almost 40 years later. But okay, all that aside, it's Morbin time. Morbius. Yes, the movie that people joke about for being the greatest movie of all time. The reason why they joke about that is because it's a joke, because this movie is actually an utter abomination, and they also joke about how it made $1 trillion when it actually flopped at the box office, and Sony even saw the memes and re-released it about 2 months after release. But yeah, Morbius is an absolute abomination.
I like how Sony probably thought they were actually being serious, and they were talking
trying to
about
steal
how
the charm from the MCU
like Sony,
and bring it into here, and it simply does not work.
Funny.
Michael Morbius' character here is pretty lame and not fleshed out enough, and also very weak. And the plot was super convoluted as well.
So much
and this movie has a lot of plot holes as well, and everything. This movie is super boring as well. Like, I wanted to fall asleep 30 minutes in. This movie is not even 2 hours long. Like, holy crap. This movie is utter trash that... with an convoluted plot and character not fleshed out enough, and everything. So yeah, Morbius. It's pretty bad. Lame characters, messed up plot, and it's super boring as well. And it's also pretty forgettable. I mean, I have a hard time remembering what happened in the movie. Next movie is one that I really do not want to get into, but here we go. You know about this one already. It's one of the most infamous animated films of all time. Yep, the Emoji Movie. Now, the premise isn't too bad. I mean, there are emojis living inside of a phone. It's kind of like Wreck-It Ralph, but with a phone. Wreck-It Ralph, the premise was the video game characters live in the arcade machines. Except this time, the emoji's in a phone. The idea's not too bad on paper. But you want to know the problem with this movie? It doesn't feel like a movie. This movie just feels like a meme turned into a feature-length movie. This movie just feels like a feature-length meme. And not just that, the characters here are just pretty lame. I mean, and the plot was pretty stupid. Gene is getting tracked down all because of something he cannot control at all one bit. The discrimination plot here was just stupid and lame and everything. I'm sorry, Mario Master, if I'm bashing this movie, but I still don't like this movie. I'll admit it's not the worst movie ever, and there are a lot of movies on this list I hate a lot more than this one. But this movie is still pretty lame. It's super generic, it's super bland, it's also really cursed too, it looks super ugly. And also, Smiler. Why is Smiler the literal villain? She's a smiley face. Why not have an angry face? Now I'll admit, High Five was pretty cool, and Jailbreak was interesting character, but it's the only two that I really liked at all. And the whole themes of discrimination and ableism are absolutely horrendous, and they just don't work for this kind of movie at all. And everything, and a lot of it feels copy and paste from other anime movies, like for example, the whole premise of the emojis living inside a phone, Wreck-It Ralph, the scene with Gene and Jailbreak on the boat, that was ripped right out of Tangled, and it looks super cursed. And it's easily, without a Sony Pictures Animation's worst movie. Easily. I never want to watch this movie ever again. I feel bad myself for even watching it at all. It's just... And even I was offended as someone with autism. I find this movie very offensive for its ableist themes.
Okay, time for number 12. Turning Red is pretty bad.
I really do not want to talk about this movie. Holy crap, it really makes me want to puke, but here we go.
This movie sucks.
Turning Red. Wait, no, more Turning Red. Like,
I don't think
okay, let me call this movie.
But it just looks
It looks super ugly as heck. This movie manages to look uglier than the original Toy Story. It doesn't even look like it doesn't even look that ugly in the first place. This movie is just outdated.
If the animation was not like this, it would probably be
okay. But 27 years later, Pixar released this as their 25th movie, and easily one of the biggest abominations of all time. The plot is pretty lame. I mean, I get how we're trying to bring on its Asian culture, but every character in this movie is completely unlikable and everything,
Yeah,
and it's super unappealing to look at. Like, who's gonna look at this movie at all? I see this movie 3 times. Yes,
I only
3
saw it once,
times.
that's all I needed.
I feel bad myself for even sitting through it
Bad.
any of those 3 times. Like, why did I
There's
even
only
watch this movie
one
in the first
okay
place?
character.
Well,
the dad was okay.
well,
but every other
I
character
mean,
was terrible.
I've been a fan
Especially
of
the mom.
X
The
my
mom
whole
was
life,
so
so of course
bad.
I was gonna
hated
watch
the
it
mom so
either
bad.
way. But
The mom
this
was a
movie
dumb
is
food.
just
This is easily one of the worst Pixar
it's super
movies,
crazy.
honestly.
Every character is
So
unlikable.
bad.
The plot is stupid. It just feels like it just feels
It's so
like
stupid.
it's something more than a
It's
Hulk
so
ripoff.
stupid.
And
It's so
the whole pan
bad.
plot is dumb, and
so
if we're
bad.
gonna make a movie about growing up, this is not the way to do it.
It's so
And
bad.
the plot is lame, it's super unappealing to look at, and it's just cringe. Like the only movies are on 4-Town. They're just a stupid, horrible, lame One Direction wannabe.
I'm trying to
and
laugh,
everything. And the mom was being way too strict, and that was pretty lame. And the animation is terrible. Holy crap! What the am I looking at? What in the world am I looking at over here?
This is like the third
The
worst.
faces in this movie are so cringe. The plot is stupid.
Shrek the Third. I honestly think Turning Red is worse than this, but
Well, next up is a movie that's
this movie gets quite
so
a lot of
bad
hate. I think
that
it's fine,
you
but
probably
it's definitely
want to forget
has
it even
lots
exists.
of hate though.
Shrek
I'll say that.
the Turd.
I
Yeah,
personally
that's
think
right.
it's
The
okay,
Turd.
but
The,
I definitely see
there's
why
no surprise
it's so-
by now.
so
The
bad
Shrek 1 and
that
2
everyone
are some of the most critically praised animated films of all time. I mean, they have so much charm. They're super funny. They have amazing characters. Them being a parody of fairy tales.
One thing I will
and
say is the other
everything.
Shrek
It works
movies are
perfectly
definitely far
as a
better.
fun,
Especially
as two
Shrek
fun
1
little
is
satirical,
amazing. Shrek 2
animated
was
films.
peak. Shrek Forever After is also peak.
With amazing funny characters and a really nice story and breathtaking animation and everything. I mean, well, that's going to be said about Shrek
But
1 and
Shrek
2.
the Third is
Then
okay,
Shrek
which-
the Third,
I
well,
mean, when you
Turd came
compare
along,
okay
and guess
to
what?
amazing movies, yeah,
It completely threw away everything that made 1 and 2 great, and it also
Forever After
didn't make
kinda
any sense in the Shrek timeline. And now that was exactly why this movie. Well, first of all, there was Prince Charming as the villain. He was pretty terrible and stupid, and it was a pretty bad villain. He acted super dumb as a villain. Might be one of the worst villains out of any movie. And there was also the baby ogres. The baby ogres were super ugly and everything. How did Shrek have that many babies? The baby ogres in this movie
How
were
did Shrek have that
super
many
ugly
babies?
and
I
everything,
think you wanna know.
and there was also the stupid toilet humor. This movie has a lot of potty humor,
I mean,
and everything.
Shrek,
It's really,
so obviously
it's really dumb and lame and everything. It's super cringe having a baby squirt green slimy
That's like
stuff
saying, like,
at
the Boss Baby movies
Shrek.
aren't gonna have
It's
hard
super gross and unappealing to
trolls
look
or
at.
whatever.
Well, I already talked about Turning Red
I actually
and
don't
how
hate
and how
trolls or
unappealing
Boss
that
Baby,
movie is,
but
but this is also
they're fine.
very
They're
unappealing as
okay.
well.
They're not.
And everything,
They're not bad, but
and
they're not good
well,
either.
and not just that.
To be fair, the Boss Baby show
The
is
writing
pretty
made
good,
no
so
sense
it's
as
a
well.
show.
Not only was the charm and the humor from 1 and 2 replaced with dumb toilet humor, but also Donkey was
talk about
super
those movies
dumb in
later.
this movie. Well, here's the thing. Donkey is easily the best Shrek character. There's no denying that. But this movie,
Definitely. He's in,
and
like,
he
the
mentions
top five.
he's talking about college and stuff. Like how does that exist in a high fantasy fairy tale world? And not just that, this movie also regressed Shrek's character back to how he was at the start of Shrek 2, and not just that as well, but also this movie it also assassinated the characters of Fiona and Puss in Boots, and they were butchered in the movie. Now this movie is so bad that it doesn't exist. Yeah, actually what happened was, Shrek the Third was so hated that DreamWorks decided to completely erase it from the timeline, and Shrek Forever After ignored
Same
it.
with Despicable Me 4,
entirely.
which I'm happy because we can get rid of
everything
Despicable
they
Me 3, which
ever
is my
missed
personal
from
least favorite
Shrek
movie ever
3rd,
made by a very wide margin. Despicable Me 3 can go to heck for all I care.
Could have been easily filled in Shrek Forever After. Shrek Forever After is the real Shrek 3. Shrek
Despicable Me
3rd,
1, 2, and 4
Shrek
can
the
go to heaven,
third,
but 3 can go to heck
and
all at
feels
once.
like a feature length. Well, it feels like a theatrical direct to DVD movie, and everything. Not just that, but also Shrek Forever After. Well, it does have baby ogres. It doesn't have the lame potty humor that Shrek the turd has.
That TRK.
And everything. It's so bad that the DreamWorks has completely retconned Shrek the Third. Shrek the Third is not canon, guys. Forever After retconned it from the timeline. Yeah, that's right. The movie actually does not exist. There is no such thing as a Shrek the Third. There is only Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shrek Forever After, and an eventual Shrek movie set after Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Guess now it's actually top 19.
Yeah, screw that movie.
Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull I've never seen. We're back to movies I've never seen.
Next up is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull emoji. Yes, Indiana Jones, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but Crystal Skull emoji. Yes, indeed.
Back to movies I have not
And the worst part of this movie is that Steven Spielberg did not want to make this movie. Now, despite that, there were always plans for it. You see, back in 1979, Paramount and Lucasfilm made a deal to make 5 Indiana Jones movies, but Spielberg decided it better to end at The Last Crusade, which is where it all should have ended. So yeah, but George Lucas, years later decided, hey, we need more money, so we're gonna milk this and make a 4th movie. So he forced him to make this train wreck. And holy crap, it is so bad.
I know my stepdad
So
saw it. bad.
But like, seriously.
I haven't saw any of the Indiana Jones movies. Really.
Though Indiana Jones still acts the same in this movie, however, it's super cringy as well. There was that whole scene with the ants at the end.
Is this
super
really
ugly.
worse than
The plot was
Turning
pretty
Red,
lame.
though?
I mean, there was the whole house scene that was stupid, and it brought aliens into this universe. And a whole UFO came. And the whole thing with the Crystal Skull was pretty dumb, and everything. This movie is pretty cringe, and the plot was very messed up. And while the action was still pretty nice to look at, nice to see, and it was still top notch, it doesn't help the broken plot. Why are there aliens in the Indiana Jones universe? Why is it? What's with that cringy ant scene at the end? And the Kingdom of the Crystal, and the whole Crystal Skull thing was very convoluted and messed up as well. Not just that, the whole plot was screwed up entirely, and everything. And there was no reason to continue Indiana Jones after The Last Crusade, and they made a stupid movie with the whole ant scene, the house, and going through a literal house. It was pretty dumb. There was the aliens and everything. Now, why does the movie even exist as well? I mean, Last Crusade literally ended with the guys going into the sunset. So they're riding on their horses into the sunset. That was a perfect ending they cannot top. Now, after this movie, 15 years later, Disney came Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which Disney picked up after they bought Lucasfilm. Now, as I'm making this video, I've yet to watch it, but I've heard a lot of people say that's even worse. So I'll be ready to rip it to shreds if I ever. Well, I'll eventually make a video ranking all these movies. I guarantee that Dial of Destiny will be rock bottom. I'll be ready to rant about it there.
Fantastic Four 2015. I remember at one point this was your second least favorite movie. It's kind of funny to see how.
What in the world was this movie? Ugh. Fantastic Four 2015. Now, all the Fantastic Four movies are pretty bad, but at least the 2000s duology, from Tim's story are at least funny bad. Like they suck, but I can at least laugh at them. And seeing Chris Evans as the Human Torch was pretty satisfying. I hear they replaced the cast with Miles Teller as Mr. Fantastic, and Human Torch was with Mugby Jordan, who also starred in Creed that year, which was a good movie, and everything. I can't remember who played the other two members of the Fantastic Four, but yeah, this movie it's a Fantastic Four movie. The plot is pretty dumb and everything. The whole origin story was lame and everything, and this movie's also really boring as well. I was already dozing off, or was going to doze off within the first 20 minutes, and I also can't remember like anything that even happened in this movie. This movie is so forgettable too. And the plot was just super lame. And it's also really generic too, and everything. I mean, and it's just this movie is such a slog, and the screenplay is some of the worst screenplay I've ever seen in the movie. The acting and action were very subpar, and action is mediocre at best.
Gosh.
And the plot.
Oh my gosh! This is
just lame and forgettable.
This is the song that Agent S used
very
against
copy
me.
paste from the 2000s duology.
Is it that I kind of like Agent S's beatbox against me, even though it was against
bad,
me, and I really should not be admitting that.
This does not have that at all.
Trying to trash
this
it,
movie is
but
complete rock bottom, and it's one of the worst superhero movies of all time.
I can't really,
Do not watch this movie under any circumstances.
I'm not gonna lie.
Do not watch Fantastic Four 2015 under any circumstances. Maybe watch the 2000 duology to laugh at it, but never ever watch this movie under any circumstances at all.
X-Men Dark Phoenix. I have not seen this movie either.
Not this movie. You can already tell by this time the X-Men heyday was over. It was time for Marvel Studios to take it on after Disney bought Fox a few months before this movie happened. This movie is just... Ugh. This movie is basically if Revenge of the Sith and The Last Stand had a baby that was severely injured and or had a horrible sickness and died at the age of 2 or 3.
Wow, that's a little harsh.
This movie is broken in every way possible. The plot doesn't make sense. It's super convoluted. There's a lot of plot holes, and all the X-Men act out of character in this movie, especially Professor X. Xavier acts super out of character in this movie, and he went from being a smart leader in First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse, to this movie, he acts incredibly stupid, and all of his intelligence is long gone. And not even all the other X-Men have the same intelligence they had in the first 3 prequels as well. Apocalypse was also bad, but at least the characters were still the same. And the worst part is that Quicksilver completely disappears from the movie for no reason after 20 minutes. This movie is also a slog. It's super boring, and I wanted to fall asleep after 30 minutes. This movie is a slog for 2 hours, and the whole new character, it was like Vuk or something. Her character wasn't fleshed out enough, and her character was also pretty lame too. They assassinated the entire X-Men cast, especially Xavier. His character was completely dialed up to 1000 and acted completely lame and everything. Like, holy crap, this movie. I watched this movie once, but I never want to watch it ever again. Do not watch this movie under any circumstances. Ever.
Keep saying that. Like,
the biggest problem with this movie too is that Jean becomes out of control. And that's the worst. And that describes it perfectly. All the characters are completely out of control, and they all act stupid. Especially Jean, it was super hyper and acts high on this movie. Like what crack was the writers on? And the worst part is that this movie felt very rushed as well. Well, obviously this was right after Disney bought Fox, but it was marketed, and it is the final X-Men movie from Fox, now 20th Century Studios, and it did not feel like a finale. It felt super anticlimactic, and this movie also went through several reshoots as well. And the Disney acquisition messed things up too. This movie is such a slog and is broken in literally every way possible.
7. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Oh, probably that's
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Ugh. Now I like the first Doctor Strange a lot. So I thought it was a really great movie, but this movie came along and what the heck was this? This movie makes absolutely zero sense, and it never runs on logic at all. I already bashed Dark Phoenix, and now it almost never runs on logic, especially with its characterization. This movie is that, but this movie is that with an even worse plot. The plot of this movie makes absolutely zero sense at all, and it also moves too fast. To where you can't process what's going on.
Wimp like you could be me.
Like, there was a part with
the
beginning with the whole dream, but it was revealed to actually be the multiverse.
My will shine,
but if it was actually
and
a dream,
there's no way
then
a wimp like you
in our
could be
universe,
me.
well, that's the thing. It's super confusing as well, and everything. And there was also the part halfway through when the what if characters showed up, and that made absolutely zero sense as well. This movie never makes any sense. It also, and its characterization is also another issue. It assassinates Doctor Strange and Wanda are assassinated in this movie. And Wanda was already ruined in WandaVision.
I'm like mixing like Juno and Man of the Internet.
Even worse, but at the same time, WandaVision makes me hate this movie even more. The plot was super messed up, and the action was very subpar.
To be fair, I actually think they both work.
And this movie is super confusing really too. Like there was the whole thing in one part where Doctor Strange's Strange's third eye, like that formed on his forehead. Like, what was that? Like, the whole thing. What the heck is this movie? Like, it makes zero sense. It's 2 hours of a convoluted mess that never gives you enough time to process it, and it also assassinates its characters. But we're about to see a couple of movies coming up that have even worse character assassinations.
So, we're out for the internet soon? Let's go! I called it! A horrible movie, by the way.
A little over 10 years ago,
original is peak. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Original Wreck-It Ralph.
One day,
I'm not gonna lie, the original Wreck-It Ralph was like
and I loved it at the time. At the time, it was my favorite movie of all time. At the time. And it still has a special place in my heart all these years later. Represents video games perfectly. And
the original Wreck-It Ralph is peak.
Well. And 6 years later, there could be a sequel. There could be a sequel, and I remember being very excited. And when I saw Ralph Breaks the Internet in theaters, I actually liked it a lot. But looking back,
here's the thing.
5 years later,
I was excited
it is one of the biggest Connect
disasters
ever.
And then when I actually saw it,
but first we had the elephant in the room.
I didn't hate it at first, but I just
characterization. Again, the characterization. There's
after watching
a lot of rants about characterization coming up in this list. This movie destroyed Ralph and Vanellope, and they had absolutely nothing like they did in the first movie.
Terrible.
You see, Vanellope dreamed of being a Sugar Rush racer and everything, and she became the princess of her game. And guess what? This movie was all thrown away and everything. She decided to completely leave Sugar Rush for stupid Slaughter Race. Why? She has such a huge attachment to Sugar Rush, and she's literally made of candy and stuff, and she felt like a Sugar Rush character by heart, and she moved to Slaughter Race, and that was stupid. And then we have the next big issue, the product placement. This shoves so many up so many online corporations and companies and other Disney properties up your face. This movie feels like this movie really emphasizes on the internet. The internet is an interesting world in this movie, but there's so much product placement that gets shoved in your place, like Amazon, Snapchat, Instagram.
This is basically
posting
the
cringy
Emoji
YouTube
Movie,
videos,
but a lot worse, I think, because the Emoji Movie...
It's so repetitive, and everything, and it's just 2 hours of that, and it's so...
Movie, this movie
it's
is
so dumb.
terrible,
This movie also breaks the logic of the first movie. What happens to... You don't die... What happens to... Whatever happened to the whole thing in the first movie where if you die outside your own game, you don't regenerate. So that's the thing. Penelope moved to Slaughter Race, so if she dies in that game, she's gone forever. That is so dumb. And everything. Even Ralph himself was out of place in this, was out of character in this movie as well, and he acted very dumb as well.
Wait! The original cut Ralph was about not going turbo. In the second one, yeah, Penelope just goes turbo, and it's A-okay. I just realized that. Just go turbo again. It's A-okay.
A hero and tired of being a bad guy. And here's the thing, in this movie,
like, seriously,
he feels completely obsessed with Penelope. Put that to the side. Like this movie, he just cares too much about Penelope and can't go too long without her. Like, here's the thing. Now canonically, Ralph is like in his 30s probably. Penelope's like, I don't know, 10.
That does not look good.
Yeah, Ralph feels so obsessed with her. That is just so stupid. Why? And everything. This movie also assassinated Felix and Calhoun, who were some of the best characters in the first movie, and here they have very little role. It only gets like 5 minutes max of screen time, maybe slightly more. The only parts like this movie was the climax with the Disney princesses. I thought them teaming up was.
I actually thought it was
pretty, a cool
that
idea.
Scene was kind of fun,
and I also liked that part with Sonic in it. That was pretty nice, but that's literally it. This
I also
movie
liked the
was the biggest train wrecks of all time.
That
completely throws away everything that made the first movie so good.
The song itself had a good beat, even though what it actually meant was pretty bad. Yay, The Rise of Skywalker. This is the only Star Wars movie that I've ever seen.
Well, here we are.
I'm really that miserable.
Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker.
This is the only
Star Wars franchise holds a special place in my heart.
I'm really that miserable,
and it has ever
guys.
since
My
I was like
life
5
is
years
really
old.
This miserable to the point this is the only Star
Wars
Wars movie
franchise
I've ever seen.
is what established my love for the film industry and why I love and talk about movies so much. And why
I don't even remember like anything about this movie, to be honest. Like, I fell asleep in theaters. It was like 10 p.m. Fell asleep. I fell asleep.
70s, early 80s, there was the perfect Star Wars trilogy,
I'm just taking
and
your
then
word for it,
16 years after the conclusion of that trilogy, with Return of the Jedi came The Phantom Menace, and it was an utter piece of garbage. And then there was 3 years later, Attack of the Clones. Not this movie. You can already tell by this time the X-Men heyday was over. It was time for Marvel Studios to take it on after Disney bought Fox a few months before this movie happened. This movie lashed out enough. This movie is one of the biggest utter abominations of all time. Has the right first movie so good.
Yeah, I
well, here we are.
Yes, Rise of Skywalker.
Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars franchise holds a special place in my heart, and it has ever since I was like 5 years old.
I have not watched any
Star Wars
others.
franchise
this one because my stepdad wanted
what
to
established my love for the film industry and why I love and talk about movies so much. And why I consider myself a big film guy and everything. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was the perfect Star Wars trilogy, and then 16 years after the conclusion of that trilogy, with Return of the Jedi came The Phantom Menace, and it was an utter piece of garbage. And then there was 3 years later, Attack of the Clones, which was not much better. Then there was Resistance, which was decent. And then 10 years after that, Disney butchered everything with the sequel trilogy. Now, the whole sequel trilogy is pretty broken, but the worst of them all especially is The Rise of Skywalker and everything. This movie never ever runs on logic. it lacks the imagination that the whole franchise always had, and it still had the unlikable cast that acted even worse in this movie than they did in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And Rey was complete and utter scum in this movie.
The only thing I remember about this movie was the secret of the Sith
movie
isn't who you think it is, and like how am I supposed to know?
When Rey said, "I'm Rey Skywalker,"
Like,
and
who the
you
heck am I
yell,
supposed to think it is?
"No, you're not."
Who am I supposed to think it is? I haven't watched any of the others. How am I supposed to know who the heck it is?
Because the little movie in a nutshell.
That's like
this
saying the
movies
mysteries
are
of the
trash.
universe isn't
That's
who you
a
think it is.
terrible
Like
ending.
what? What could be the
And
mysteries of the universe?
now,
Only
now,
God
I
knows.
like the
'cause
idea
I sure don't.
of Ben Solo going back to being a Jedi. But one of the worst part about this movie, however,
I would love to know.
It brought back Palpatine, despite the fact that he literally survived. Well, despite the fact that the Death Star literally blew up on him. He had to be dead. Dead!
To be fair, people can survive.
Here's the thing. Palpatine blew up at the end of Return of the Jedi, and now he's randomly back for no reason, trying to lure his granddaughter Rey to the dark side, and Rey being related to him was super lame. This movie also has a lot of plot holes in it as well. It brings in a lot of plot holes, and it makes it even more convoluted as well. And this movie did not feel serviceable at all as a Star Wars finale at all. And it just felt very messed up. I like the idea of Rey having two lightsabers and her having Luke's lightsaber and everything, but the plot was very messed up. And why would they bring back Palpatine when he blew up at the end of Return of the Jedi? It completely tarnishes. This movie completely threw away the entire logic of the original trilogy with Palpatine blowing up. It completely tarnished the entire saga. Now, there are more movies on this list that tarnish the predecessors. We already saw that last time with Ralph Breaks the Internet. There'll be even more movies on this list that tarnish their predecessors.
Toy Story 4 is
unlikable
gonna be
characters and
here too,
everything.
Despicably
The
3,
plot makes no sense in this movie, and the plot was pretty dumb in this movie and everything. And this movie is not at all logical, and it also assassinated Princess Leia. No, it not just killed her, it ruined her character development. That's what I mean by character assassinations. And The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi already butchered Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and now this time Leia ruined it. Well, Leia got ruined in this movie. This movie is such an insult to the franchise. The fact that I had this as my 14th birthday present, December 2019, made it even worse for me. This is a franchise that I have loved since I was just a few years old. I remember being super excited for The Rise of Skywalker. When I saw it, I thought it was okay, and I thought that again with my rewatch on Disney Plus. But then I rewatched it about a year and a half ago, and that's when I realized it was an absolute cinematic atrocity. And I can't believe I had Rise of Skywalker. My 14th birthday present. I was so excited to see the ending of the franchise, only for it to completely throw away all the franchise's charm. Well, next up is actually two movies, Toy Story 4 and Lightyear.
We're getting there!
That's actually not my least favorite Pixar movie.
We're getting to my least
Toy Story
favorite
4
movie
and Lightyear.
very soon.
Oh,
But yeah,
come on, Agent
I'm gonna tell you
S.
right now, Toy Story 4 sucks,
You've had too many
Lightyear
rants
sucks.
this entire
so-
video. This video's been on for almost an hour long. Dude, I think you just stopped these rants already. Come on, Agent S. I think you just stopped these rants already. You've done enough rants to the point where you've papped the runtime so much. Well, too bad. This video has to keep going because I have 4, actually 5 more movies to rant about. I need to get this out of my system so that way I can finish off this video and get done editing it. Okay, but all fourth wall breaks aside, let's get into yet another rant and 3 more big rants. If you thought my Turning Red rant was not enough, wait until you see this. Alright, I do not want to get into this, but here we go.
Oh,
Growing
God.
up, there were 3 things I
Toy Story
considered
4 is
the
so
biggest part of my
bad.
childhood.
Toy
Those
Story
were
4
Mario,
is
Nickelodeon, especially SpongeBob and After the Last
basically,
Airbender,
just throw it
and
in the toilet.
Pixar.
Just
Pixar
take
was
the
my
franchise, sprinkle
with my
poop on
comfort
it,
movie
pee on it,
studio
fart
as
on
a
it,
child.
mix
And
it
Toy Story
with
4 unfortunately throws
mix it with like
everything away
hell
that made
powder itself.
the first
stir all
movie
of
so
it.
magical.
You get this. Oh, and also sprinkle in some good
Why?
animation,
Well,
because-
for so many
Animation
reasons.
fix
First of
everything!
all,
A story could be absolutely terrible, such a terrible story, zero redeeming qualities in the actual story. Oh, but adding the animation makes it all better. Perfect animation, 100% get rid of the actual problems with any movie, 100 freaking percent, cause hell in HD would be perfect, right guys?
My with Turning Red was that the characters were super likable. And
Turning
guess what?
Red
This
is
movie's
cringe,
not-
but this movie
it's no
sucks
different.
so bad. It sucks.
And guess what?
It sucks.
They also
It sucks.
assassinated Woody, Buzz, Jesse, and Bo Peep.
Exactly.
And Bo Peep disappeared in Toy Story 3. She came back in this only to treat Woody like crap, and Woody decided to leave Buzz and the rest of his friends for her and took off his sheriff bag and gave it to Jesse.
Did you just
Why?
swear?
Why? I have so many problems with this movie that's not even funny. When I first saw it in theaters, I actually liked it. And nowadays, I
When I actually first saw it, I thought it was
despise
pretty
it.
decent, but yeah, I actually liked it at first.
The only two new
'cause
characters I
liked Toy
liked
Story,
were the
but
plushies.
Now,
The plushies were really cool, and that was it.
No.
Ugh. Now I get it. Bonnie stopped playing with Woody, but only for 3 days. 3 days. If it was years, maybe, but still, why can't he just stay in the closet? Or have Bonnie just donate him instead at the carnival? It's just stupid. Like, come on. This movie has so many contrivances throughout it too, and the plot is just not compelling, and its themes are terrible. Okay, so what about Lightyear?
Fundamentally,
well, you know what?
logic breaking
I say this
movie,
movie is
and
even
how could
worse,
this
but
be
I hate
Andy's
both
favorite movie?
equally
How could this
because
be
of
Andy's favorite movie?
because
This
of
could
what
not
they
be Andy's
did
favorite
to
movie.
my childhood.
How could Andy like this?
Lightyear is even more broken because it doesn't make
Broken.
any
Dude,
sense.
the villain is
The whole
literally
point
just
of the
the
movie
guy,
is that it's
just
the
Buzz
movie
Lightyear from the future,
that the
and like,
6-year-old
what?
kid watched and loved as a kid. It was his childhood movie, and it's what his Buzz Lightyear toy is from. And a toy based on the Buzz from this movie, but guess what? This movie seems nothing like that. This movie is nothing like the Star Command show from 2000. And not to mention, the Buzz in this movie that's nothing like the Buzz that we knew. I get it, it's a different Buzz, but also not even Chris Evans voicing him even sounded like Buzz. The new characters, I mean, the characters in this movie were okay, I guess. But the thing
Socks
is
okay.
they're just
Actually, I
soulless. There's
kinda love
nothing. This
Socks, but I
movie
hated
is
everyone
soulless.
else,
That's
so
right. But
so.
it's super boring as well. I kind of wanted to turn off this movie halfway through. It was just super boring. Not to mention, it's so forgettable too. I can't remember a single thing that happened for most of it. It was so boring, and the characters were super basic.
Yeah, I don't remember that much.
Not only that, but the light is not what we knew. The premise doesn't make any sense, and not to mention the ending breaks space and time. Like, time travel exists in this
Oh
universe?
no, guys.
Huh, weird.
We're getting there. Oh no.
This movie just doesn't have an identity. This movie it just doesn't make any sense. So originally I was going to have. I was going to have my friend Loogie Man.
I remember how Agent S ranked the 3. I remember how Agent S told me what his top 3 least favorite movies are. And I know what's coming up after this. I have mixed emotions because I want to bash it as much as I can because it's the worst movie I personally ever seen. But I also feel like it's like impending doom. Like, I don't know.
At a cameo in this video,
What
he
I
was
feel
too
right
busy
now.
and he had other stuff going on with him, so he decided to just leave this part to me instead. It's unfortunate that I couldn't get him in this video, but that's perfectly fine. So I'm giving him a shout out instead. Please subscribe to Loogie Man. He only has a few videos so far, but they're all pretty good. even though he's only made one full-fledged video so far and 5 shorts, they're all pretty good and pretty entertaining. And as Mario and Luigi video was really cool too. And it had a lot of stuff that I didn't even know about Mario and Luigi. So yeah, please subscribe to Loogie Man. He makes some great videos, even though he's only made one that isn't a short, and he made 5 really cool and entertaining shorts. So yeah, subscribe to Loogie Man. He's awesome. Sorry I couldn't get you in the video, so I'm giving you a shout out instead.
Absolute trash, absolute trash, absolute trash. Trash, 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 trash. 0 out of 10 worst movie I've ever seen is an abomination. It should be 1, honestly. It's so bad. 1, 2, 4, amazing masterpieces. Well, I don't know about 4. 4 might be a masterpiece. 3, no, 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 no. This movie sucks so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. I hate this movie more than anything. It is so worse. It's the worst piece of fiction. I would rather play friggin' E.T. over this.
The minions leave Gru despite the fact that they spent decades with him.
Exactly.
The minions spent decades with Gru.
Yeah, you just don't care about your family. Like, you literally have this guy who's been who you've been with since freaking childhood, but no, you leave him and introduce a stupid freaking twin brother for no dumb reason. He's annoying. His voice sucks. Every single thing about this movie is absolute crap. Agent S is right.
Thrown away here at the ending.
The only thing me and
when the
Agent
minions
S
leave
disagree
Gru.
with is
Now I
that
get it.
I think this
Gru
should
got
be
fired
number
from the
1
anti-villain
worst.
league.
I think that should be the worst,
not
not Last Airbender.
Super likable as well.
I think this is trash. I would take any other movie I've ever seen. I would watch every other movie I've ever seen so much more over this.
He is super annoying and super likable in this movie.
No,
like,
no,
holy
I'm not.
crap.
I lied. I'm not sorry.
And he's super annoying. Everything. One of the most annoying characters I've seen in the movie.
It's so bad. It's so bad. So bad. 0 out of 10. I would
And
never
then there
watch
was
again.
Brad, who was just there for South Park fan service and 80s
Brad is
nostalgia
okay,
and
but
nothing
everything
more.
else sucks.
And
Everything else sucks.
Brad
This movie
was
is
a very
0
weak
out of 10.
villain.
I would
and-
rather have
and-
explosive
and
diarrhea
everything.
for the rest of my
And-
life than ever give this anything
This
more
movie
than a
is
0 out of 10. Like, maybe
it's
a
the
1
biggest
if I'm feeling
tragedies
generous, but
it's
no.
not the biggest
1, 2, or
tragedy.
10 out of 10. No.
Tragedy
No,
in
Shrek
animated
the
film
Third is a
in history.
masterpiece compared to this.
There's the minions who leave
Shrek
Gru,
the
the
Third is a
unlikable
masterpiece
characters,
compared to
everything.
this.
I get it.
4 is a
Gru
masterpiece
didn't,
compared to this. Turning Red is a
back
masterpiece
to
compared to
being a
this. Every other
supervillain,
movie I've
but
ever
the
seen
minions
is a
stuck with him,
masterpiece compared to
and
this. This
long after
movie
he
is
quit. Like I
trash.
said,
It
Gru
is trash.
stopping
It is trash.
evil during
It is
Despicably
trash.
Bad,
Trash.
the
Trash.
minions
Trash. Trash.
showing
Trash.
loyalty to
Trash.
him,
Trash. Trash. Trash.
from that
Trash.
point onward
Trash.
until
Trash.
this.
Trash. Trash. Trash.
Well,
Trash.
Mori Master, I hope you're happy that
I'm happy.
released their movie to
It
shreds.
is trash. It is trash. It
But-
is trash. Despicably 3, just
so yeah,
go to
that
hell.
was
Despicably 3, go to
my
hell.
rant for my
Suck.
least favorite
I hate you, Despicably.
animated films of all time, but there are still 2 movies left that I hate even more than it. And
Despicably
here we
3 is
go.
So bad. The Flash, okay. This should be... Despicably 3 is worse than these 2.
Remember what I said when Dark Phoenix and Multiverse of Madness never runs on logic, wanted and sassy their characters? Well, here we've got the worst of them all, The Flash! More like the trash!
Huh.
I'm so glad this movie bombed at the box office. Now, the biggest selling point of this movie was obviously the return of Michael Keaton's Batman, but his character wasn't even that good movie. In fact, Michael Keaton's Batman
Now that
was
we're done with my
assassinated in
least
this
favorite movie, I can
and he
appreciate
acted
this.
pretty lame in this movie, and so did Ben Affleck's Batman. But Ben Affleck was already a terrible Batman. This whole movie also looks super AI generated, and the visuals
This
look
movie
so
does look very bad.
look
though,
so
doesn't it?
subpar. It looks like a PS2 game. And the whole thing with the time travel didn't make any sense. It was pretty lame and everything. The plot was pretty dumb. I like the idea of Barry going to his past self, everything, but it's pretty dumb and everything. And nothing in this movie ever runs on logic. This movie feels like a mix of Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home, and it just doesn't work. This feels like No Way Home but bad. And all the characters in this movie are pretty lame. And this movie are already butchered not only Michael Keaton's Batman, but also Barry Allen's The Flash. And everything. I'm so glad this movie bombed the box office because it's such a big travesty, and it's easily the worst superhero film I have ever seen. Alright, guys, it is time for my biggest rant of all time! I bet you guys have been waiting for this for a long time! Here we go!
Airbender!
My number one least favorite movie of all time!
Maybe even your least favorite is... The Last Airbender. It's pretty bad, I'll admit. It's pretty freaking bad.
Despicably 3 The Last Airbender is without a doubt my least favorite movie of all time. I adore Avatar: The Last Airbender with all of my heart, and
you do.
And even without nostalgia, it is still a brilliant show that remains one of the best animated shows I've ever seen, and easily without doubt, is easily without doubt Nickelodeon's best show. But this movie came along from M. Night Shyamalan, and a guy who wasn't even a big fan of the show in the first place, who decided to direct this movie, and you know what? What it was? It was entirely incompatible. M. Night Shyamalan is simply incompatible for this kind of movie. M. Night Shyamalan is known for his horror and thriller kind of movies like A Sixth Sense, Old, Glass, Splits, and the most recent one, Knock at the Cabin. This does not fit that at all. Well, while it is fairly dark, that's pretty much it. It fits its dark tone, but that's really it. Now, the worst part of the movie was the airbending and the action. It was super lame, this movie, and now several other movies I bashed here have subpar action, but this has easily the worst of it. The action is absolute garbage at best. Like it is so bad to look at. This movie completely fails as both an adaptation of the classic show from the late 2000s and as a movie as a whole. And the visuals are also horrible, especially for a 2010 movie. Inception came out the same summer, just 2 weeks after this movie, and it looks amazing and it still holds up. The movie is a phenomenal masterpiece. This is not at all, and never held up, and never ever lived up to the show, and this movie never will. This movie also got all the characters pronounced wrong. I couldn't pronounce Aang as Ong and stuff, and Sokka as Sokka. Everything.
Ong.
They got it all wrong. This is what you get when you get
guess you could
an
say
Indian
Ong got
director
it all wrong.
who was
Hi, Ryan.
it usually directs thriller and horror movies, and decided to take on an adaptation of an animated series. It was incompatible, and the characters here acted nothing like they do in the show. Why this movie the way it is? This movie does not deserve a live-action movie at all. Now, instead, this movie needed an animated movie that continues off of the show and sets up Korra. That's what we should have gotten. Not this abomination that adapts the first season into something that feels like a fanfiction show rather than an actual adaptation. Ugh! This movie belongs in the Hollywood Hall of Shame. That's where it needs to belong for the rest of eternity.
Dang.
Screw this movie. I've had it with that utter abomination that The Last Airbender was. It will forever be my least favorite movie of all time. I don't think anything will ever surpass it.
Despicably Bad 3 or
nothing could ever make it. Even nothing could be even worse of an abomination than it. Not even The Flash was able to make it the biggest abomination of all time.
How about a sequel?
Well, phew.
sequel. Last Airbender sequel.
Okay, I think I'm done ranting there. This was a lot of rants for I don't know how long I've been talking now. Anyway, guys, that's it for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed these rants. See you guys next time. Agent Des out. Okay, finally the negativity is over after a probably 5-minute Turning Red rant and that big Remember the Last Airbender. A bunch of other rants. Ugh. I'm glad I have it all off my plate. Ugh. Okay, guys, that's it.
That was
Thank you
peak!
guys for watching. The negativity is over.
That was actual peak. Despicably Bad 3 is still #1 worst easily, but Last Airbender was pretty terrible, I'll admit. Also, I don't think I saw the Flash. Yeah, that was pretty based, I gotta say. That was pretty skibbity riz. This was pretty based. This was pretty based, man. Despicably Bad 3 still worse. Feel the tones of Dow. Tones of Dow. Okay, here we go. I gotta say that was. Yeah, I heard that Dragon Ball Evolution is basically just another Last Airbender where it kind of just ruins everything. I haven't seen that though. Anyway, yeah, that was pretty fun, and I'll see you guys later. And honestly, yeah, thank you, Agent S, for letting me let everyone spread the word about how bad Despicably Bad 3 is absolutely terrible movie. It is the worst movie ever made. It is so bad that if I had to choose between that and Explosive Diarrhea, I would choose the Explosive Diarrhea, because this movie is absolutely trash, and I never want to watch it again, but I'm going to have to eventually if I want to have a ranking video for stuff, or Illumination ranking. But you know what? I'm just going to do skip at the end of it, or throw it in the trash or something, because it deserves literally nothing. You know what? No. I was wrong. It deserves my spit. Actually, you know what? No, it isn't gracious to my spit. It doesn't deserve my spit. My spit is holy compared to that. So you know what? You know what it actually deserves? It deserves to be thrown away, locked in hell, and never remembered again by anybody. Despicable Me 4, let's hope just remembers. Hope it Despicable Me 4 is remembered instead, and it can overtake Despicable Me 3, because 1, 2, and 4 are going to be the perfect trilogy. 3, though? Yeah, 3 is going to be locked away in hell, never remembered again. That better happen. I hate that movie so much. So yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye! This is an update. I just realized I forgot to like the video. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah. It was peak, so yeah, I decided to like it. It's literal peak. So yeah, thank you, Agent S, for making epic video. It was pretty base. It might be one of the best videos you ever made, honestly. It was pretty base. But anyway, bye!